Alright everybody, the thinking is done. So now let's take what we have in our brains, put it on paper, and then make some 3D models in Creo. First thing I want to do was get an idea of what the actual bowl or the toilet was going to look like. So I started to sketch out kind of how I wanted the shape roughly to be to make sure that everything would be able to funnel into one section. So I already modeled the bowl for it, and so I'm going to go through and start laying out some reference lines and points where I'm going to be putting mounting screws to actually mount the bowl onto the main housing, which you're going to see modeling here up next. So we'll go through, put some chamfers on the bolt holes so the screws can be recessed and everything can be flushed to make sure it all seals. Clean it up a little bit, round off all these edges, just kind of making it look a little prettier. Alright, so now I'm going to start on the main body. So this is going to be the housing that all the components are pretty much going to sit in. So I need to go through, what I'm doing here is laying out what the bowl shape is. And that's going to be where the bowl, what I just modeled up, recesses in and sets into the main body. So once I get that size, and then I'm going to get all my other dimensions based on you know, to be honest, mainly it's going to mimic a lot of what a normal toilet on Earth looks like. Since we all know that everyone fits on those toilets for the most part, why reinvent the wheel? So as far as dimensions and how it fits when we sit on it, there's no sense in really changing a whole lot. I did make it a little bit smaller so that I can make sure that I stay within that size requirement. So I went ahead and extruded it out. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back in and delete that hole that I made in this. And the reason I want to do that is if I go ahead and shell out this whole piece as it is, then I'm going to have a shell all the way down. So if I delete that, as you can see, I shell it out, and then I have one big opening shell that all my components can sit in. And then I'll go back in and extrude the hole out for the actual bowl. Alright, so now that I have the hole for the bowl removed, now I need something to thicken the perimeter of that hole. And the reason I do that is because I need something a little thicker to allow for screws to thread into. And if I make the whole shell the thickness to where I can actually screw something into and to be secure, then I'm going to really add a whole lot of weight onto this part that I don't need to have there. So by thinning out the whole shell and then adding just the thin section, it's going to really improve the strength, improve the thread engagement. This way I don't have to add a whole bunch of weight. And went ahead, I already have the seat modeled. I didn't show that, sorry about that. But what I'm doing here is I'm going in and putting a latch holder onto it. So what the idea is that when the back is hinged and you fold it down, you can latch it shut. So it seals everything in, because when you flip the lid up, you're going to have access to the filters, the fan. You can remove pretty much most of the components just by flipping one latch. And that's going to really save a whole lot of time if there ever is a point to where an astronaut actually needs to service or maintain it. And again, I already got the basic model of, this is the fan ducting. So this is going to be the part that actually pulls the air through and circulates it. And it's going to hook up to the fan in the back. And what I'm doing here is the same way I added that thicker rib on the housing, is I'm actually going around here and adding a thicker rib where the bowl slides through. And the reason I'm doing that is you'll see here in a little bit when I show you the assembly, is the bowl's actually going to have O-rings, and right there it is. So I need these O-rings to be able to fit and seal right at those points. And the reason I need that seal is because I need the fan and the whole air system to be airtight. And I only want to pull air from where I want it to pull it. So here's these O-ring ribs, and they're going to have O-rings that sit in there. And you can see the perforated section in the bowl. And yeah, I was it took forever to render all those holes, so that's why I kind of cut it off early. And so this is kind of the second revolution of this design. It's the same thing, but I wanted to provide more than one ways to achieve the airflow. So I moved where the intake ducting is for the air. So I'm going in, and this is going to be the turntable. So the idea of this is that I'm going to create a centrifugal force to kind of hold everything into a storage tank. And this is going to be the turntable or the bearing. I'm not going to go ahead and model a complete bearing. It's kind of a waste of time. But if I put stuff in a form that mimics or shows that there's a component there, then I can go ahead and layer everything else on top of that. And to be able to mount the electric motor in that's going to drive the turntable, there's going to be an access port you can see there on the red, and that's going to be able to allow the astronaut access to that motor if anything would ever happen to it. Again, it goes back to that ease of maintaining. You don't want to have them take hours and hours to be able to service these if something goes wrong. So it's going to be gear driven. As you can see, the red gears, yes, they're not gears, but I don't have to model an exact gear. So these are representing what the gears will look like.
Here's where I stand on the space toilet. Or maybe here's where I sit. Because you sit on the toilet, right? All the submission paperwork is complete. The design is complete. I think to the best I can do in the 30 days. So actually, it was all completed in 20 days from start to submission. I think that's pretty good. I hope you liked the design process. Now, I know I haven't exactly shown you the actual model design and explain everything to you in detail quite yet. But the contest still technically, from when I'm making this video, has 11 days left to submit your design. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the deadline just to kind of protect myself so that no one takes my ideas and submit it for their own. I'm going to wait until the submission deadline, and then I'm going to make a video that's going to walk you through the whole design, how it works, what it looks like, and hey, and then we'll be finishing up, and then we'll be on to the next challenge. Yeah, so if you don't want to miss out on these future projects, or if you want to join me as one of my team members, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment below on kind of what your interests are, and we'll see if we can find a challenge to kind of work around and get involved in, and just make this a big old family event, right? Yeah, come join me. It'll be fun. Bye.